Beverley, I'm so excited. You've brought me to your favourite bar, Daft Eddie's.
That's right. Yeah, Daft Eddie's is in White Rock near Calinchi, and it's just on Strangford Lock, and that you can see actually just behind us. So yeah, this is, for many reasons, this is actually my favorite pub, because probably just about where you're sitting. I sit here, and my children's sailing club is just over across from you. And so for anybody that has children that sail, they'll know that, you know, it takes them about 2 hours to actually get on the water, and they're on the water for about half an hour, and then they come in and it's about 2 hours to get off the water. So I sit here with my coffee and I watch them faff, to a real technical term, over there, and then I watch them go down the slipway and sail off into the distance. And it's a moment where I'm very proud to see them doing that. My son is 10 years old and he's off now sailing on his own. So yes, it's a moment you know, that I'm really proud.
Such a beautiful, lovely family story that you've told me about. Normally people, when I go, this is where we used to go when I was in college. I fell there, I went to sleep there.
I know, I'm a bit boring.
3 pints. No, this is great. This is great, because obviously this is a me place for you. You enjoy it. And I like the fact you have coffee, because if you had a sit a glass of wine, then we would have gone in a whole different...
I know. Well, you see, when they're finished sailing, then we come over back to Daft Eddie's and we'll maybe have dinner. And yeah, there could possibly be a glass of wine at that point. Okay. But yeah,
it's a family show now, so we don't want to find out what goes on after that.
I know.
Well, he obviously wasn't so daft, because look at that for a view. Look at that for a bar and a restaurant. And in fairness, when I was trying to find a background, they don't do inside of Daft Eddie's much, because they have this on the outside. So I think most people do the selfies with that as a background.
I know, it's absolutely, yeah, it's completely stunning. And sometimes then I'll go out in the paddleboard just behind you and paddle around, and there's sails and everything out on the little island. It's called Hen Island behind you.
Wow.
And I try and sort of paddleboard out as far, you know, because obviously sailing isn't much of a spectator sport really. So I try and paddleboard out so that I can see a little bit more. But you're certainly right. Daft Eddie wasn't quite so daft, I think, maybe as everybody thought, because the story is, the legends, obviously we love a bit of a legend here, and was that he, you know, had a bit of a slate loose, and he used to help smugglers. He was a bit of a dog's body, really, just ran about doing odd jobs for them. But one night he overheard them saying that they were going to rob a magistrate over on Ards Peninsula, which is just, you know, across, you know, Strangford Lock. And so late one night in the winter, he got a little boat and off he went. He sailed across Ards Peninsula against the tides and against the waves, and as hard as he could. And then he got onto land, and he ran for several miles to the magistrate's house, warned him that the smugglers were going to come and burgle him. And so when the smugglers arrived, the magistrate was standing there with a team of probably people that you wouldn't maybe want to be bumping into in a dark night.
Muskets and all that.
Exactly. And that was sort of the end of the smugglers. So they say that Daft Eddie maybe wasn't so daft after all. So there you go.
I love a story, and
I know.
It was 500 years ago. And of course, if our kids were hearing that story, your children might, they'd say, Dad, if there's no photograph of it, it didn't happen. If you don't have it on video, it didn't happen. But listen, so we know about Daft Eddie, and we know why we're sitting here, and you're sitting there, your kids are out in the boats, and you're having your cup of tea, and your phone goes zap, everything's gone except 3 apps.
This was quite an easy one for me. So the first one would be Google Maps. That definitely has to stay on my phone, because I have a terrible sense of direction. Really bad sense of direction. So I need my phone with me for my Google Maps.
You are a taxi of mom.
Exactly. And normally I hear from the back seat, "Are we lost again?" which they're quickly told to be quiet. when I try and
never
figure it
get
out.
to the stage where they say, are we there yet? Because you never quite get to where you're
Then,
meant.
yeah, that you see, we have a different line.
That must be from a different show. Okay, so that's one. What's the
Yeah,
second?
definitely. Secondly, my children's school app that keeps me up to date with everything I need to know. So when PE day is, when after school activities are,
Right.
all that sort of stuff that I would be completely lost. I'm normally the mum that turns up, 5 minutes after closing time, and my kids are standing there.
Find the place. We know why. You see, it's all weaving, all weaving together nicely.
And then, yeah, that's true. And then the third app, that was a difficult one. I would either choose actually between Facebook, which is odd, but living in England for sort of 20 years, I have a lot of friends still there. And actually Facebook's just a really good way to just keep up with them, see what their children are doing. And again, it's a really good way to just keep up to date with what's going on at hockey or what's going on at sailing, so that I know where I need to be with my kids, to give myself plenty of time to get there in case I get lost. So,
well, you know what?
Yeah.
We're going to come back to you in 3 years. No, not 5 years time, when the kids are at a different stage, to see whether there's any me apps on there, any music apps or anything, because it sounds to me like you're a busy bee.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You're at that right in the middle of, well, I drop, go there.
Yeah.
The hockey match starts at 12:30, but the other swimming lesson starts at...
Exactly. Yeah.
Listen, we'll come back to you. So give us a favorite quote. With all that time you have in your hands driving around trying to find the locations, being lost, you must...
Oh my goodness.
In your head.
Yeah, that's probably going through my head most of the time. So I went for a quote by and I'm not sure if you're a Harry Potter fan, but I went for a quote by Albus Dumbledore. And it is, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I have it hanging up actually in my son's bedroom because he's a huge Harry Potter fan. And I just think, especially, with everything that's been going on in the world over the last couple of years with COVID and the atrocities that are going on in Ukraine and the cost of living crisis, so much has been happening that sometimes it's quite hard to find sort of something positive in all of it. So I think it's just reminding yourself sometimes that actually there still are positives, there's still, good things out there, and, to find joy sometimes in the smallest of places.
I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and it's amazing you should talk about Facebook, because I don't have Facebook. I don't use it much, or use it to find out football scores maybe. But
yeah,
he said he wasn't feeling the best about a few bits and pieces, and then does it do a flashback history where it shows you stuff?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
On this day, and he said on this day 2 years ago was in and around the first sets of lockdowns, and it cheered him up immensely because how quickly we forget. For context, he was on a 2-kilometer restriction to the house. He couldn't play golf. He couldn't go out. So it actually said, hold on a second, I need my context again. I'm grand. I can't do this. And I think that's to your point, remembering where the switch probably is, as distinct to turning on the light, is probably the key. Because if you can't find the switch to turn on the light,
I know, you've no hope.
Those little triggers, aren't they?
Yeah.
So one very quick little question I'd love to ask you. So your kids are out in the boats, you've come back out and paddle boat, you're exhausted, you're seeing beautiful experience on the water, and who is the person you'd love just to be sitting there behind me, right beside you, to sit down and say, how's it going? And have a chat.
Oh my goodness. Probably someone that I speak to quite often.
Yeah.
It would probably have to be my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. So I think she sort of passed away whenever I was probably about 21, 22. And yeah, I think, to be able to sort of sit and have a conversation with her now at this age as a, proper adult, And, you know, to be able to sort of say, you know, get advice or get her thoughts, or, you know, to be able to talk to her maybe more about her life as an adult, you know, that you maybe sort of didn't appreciate, you know, whenever you're little, and sort of ask all those questions. And you know, and obviously, you know, with the children, and, you know, just to sort of get her thoughts. And, you know, yeah, I would love to sit down and sort of have a conversation with her. So yeah,
you said you speak to her often. Do you have
yeah,
or you're having a chat with her, and why her?
yeah, because I don't
She
know.
doesn't answer back, does she?
Unfortunately not. So I think
I just wanted to see whether we were on a different show.
If she did, yeah, if she did, I think I'd need to be on a different show.
Yeah, I'm just wanted to check. So what was that all about? Why her?
Well, I don't know. Like sometimes, you know, you're seeking sort of a bit of I don't know, like advice or comfort, and I suppose you're sort of saying, oh my goodness, like seriously, like what do you think, or what would you do? This is a nightmare, or, you know. And yeah, I guess sometimes you just, you know, we would have been extremely close. So you know, I guess, yeah, sometimes, you know, you're just sort of, you know, she's in your thoughts. And you know, it would be, you know, yeah, maybe I am hoping that maybe she will answer me back or give me a sign.
It might sound crazy, but maybe that's how you justify talking to yourself. You're not
yeah,
really
maybe it is.
You're talking to someone else, and that's okay too, because maybe you're I don't know, nobody has it worked out. Maybe you've inherited some of her wisdom in her past.
Well, now the funny thing about her is she also had no sense of direction.
All right, so you're going to meet her on the way coming around the way that she didn't think that she was going in the first place. So maybe you are somehow. Beverley, you've been short, sharp, but very sweet. Thank you so much for your time. It's
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's lovely to have you here.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.